Good evening, friends. Namaskar. So please join with your names and please, whatever comments or questions you would like to have, please put them in the chat box. I am very happy to meet you again. And today, the topic that had been suggested, a very important topic, that yes, we understand that there is the grace of God going on all the time, but how to how to receive it? Hmm. There is the receiving capability is necessary because there is no dearth of grace, as that famous statement of Sri Ramakrishna, you must be remembering that the breeze of grace is blowing all the time, but your sailboat, that will get it only if you unfurl the sail. Otherwise, will you say no breeze at all? There is the breeze, but you have to unfurl the sail in the right way so that the breeze will help you to get to the in the right direction. Your boat will move properly. Otherwise, the breeze is there, but we won't get it. So we have to develop the capability to receive. And many times we see in this world that things are available, but because of our lack of capability to use them properly, to receive them in the right way, even though it is given to us, we cannot hold it. We don't have the strength, the mental poise, or in general, the ability to hold. It is given, but we cannot hold it. There is a well known story of a wealthy man, and he had four children, and they were of not far different in their age. The eldest was 25 years old. The youngest was about 20 years old. So uh, he gave that his wealth. He decided to give to three only, and told the three that you should take care of the fourth. But they said, why not divide equally? Let that person, that our sibling, our brother also have it. Why you are not giving him? That's not justice. Even the one who was not being given, he strongly protested. Why should I not be given? And why I am left to the care of others? But the dad said, well, this, I love him, but I know he cannot handle it. It is, he will just fritter away everything. They were not accepting this. So dad said, okay, let us have an experiment. Experiment means, you know what, you take it in a small way to see how it affects, so that you do not get a big blow. You That is a test, you get a test dose, as it were, so that you know whether the full dose will help you or it will not help you. So the dad gave all of them a, test dose. And what is that test dose? The test dose is that they were given uh, just $100, all four of them. Now, one of them immediately uh, said, okay, yeah, let me make best use of this $100. He immediately, rented a cart and put some, that edible things like hot dogs. He put it there on the cart, put the whole thing on the busy street of New York, and then invested that. Out of $100, he probably invested 75, $80 in that, and then it was selling well. So he earned $200 on for very first day. And so the father had told that, tell me after 1 week how you are faring. Another man, he went to some of his friends, and then decided that we can, start a business together, and a business of buying and selling, like that, a brokerage business. So he put his $100, others also put it, and then they started a business, uh, that brokerage on that, and they raised good loan, and then that they started that business. The third one, he said, okay, that I know how to repair various instruments, equipment. Let me put a shop. He, on the basis of that $100, he went and showing his skills, he got $1,000 loan to start the business. The fourth decided that, well, I have got $100. I have for a long time I had desire to go to that restaurant and eat lobsters. So he finished $25. He thought, well, still I have got $75, and I have to show that I am making good this thing. So he bought those lottery tickets. Mm. Then after that, some similar things, that so he went and saw a couple of movies every day, and thus by the end of the week, he already had taken debt from loan from some other friend. So he didn't make any money. The others were doing, they had very nice stories to tell what they did with $100. So the dad said, look, mm, I have given you all four equal amount as a testing money. If I give my whole wealth, divide into four and give to this fellow, will lose everything in no time, and then will be a pauper. So I love him. So I tell to you three that you take the money and take care of this other fellow till he gets matured enough to handle it. So we get the grace. The question is now, are we capable to hold on to it? If we look back at our life, we will see so many instances of immense grace coming to us, and still uh, we do not make use of it. This, if we look back at our life, we will see that so many times the grace of the Almighty, all pervading reality, has given us something to cheer, something that could be a great treasure in our life. but we didn't know how to handle it. So it all fell from the cracks, as it were. Nothing remained with us. And that is why this is a very important topic, that how to hold on to grace, how to receive it. It has to be received. In our language, there is a saying, that in Hindi language, there is a saying that, well, a fellow was praying that God, okay, give me lot of money. I want money. Please be gracious to me. I want it. So God decided to teach this fellow a lesson. I want some gold. Give me gold. I can make a lot of money out. Please give me. So uh, God dropped a ball of gold uh, through the roof, broke the roof, broke the house, as it were, made a big dent there. And then the whole gold was just spent in repairing the house, you see. So, do we have the strength to hold on to what we get? And that is why, although there is with us, we do not make a good use of it, we are not able to hold. So, therefore, in spiritual life, it is very important to learn how to hold the abundantly available divine grace. And in Swami Vivekananda's Bhakti Yoga, you see a lot of this message about it. There is a very small 2 page or 3 page chapter in the Bhakti Yoga, and the title is The Method and the Means. It is something that I love a lot, the methods and the means. We need to know that we are, our mind is quickly taken away. Oh, God is everything, God's grace. But well, what you need to do to receive it, you have to cultivate those methods and bring finesse to those means. Then only one will be able to get it. Does it make sense, friends? It is that, and in that particular chapter that I am mentioning, uh, it says that Ramanujacharya was a great teacher of devotion. Many sects, he calls his philosophy as Vishishta Dvaita, or that sect is calling it as Vishishta Dvaita, means qualified non-dualism. I don't want to get into the details of that philosophy, because what is more important now, not the philosophical discussion, but this method of how we can strengthen our mind. We should be practical, friends. And that is again and again, I like to emphasize that spiritual life is not a theoretical science. It has a lot of theory, no doubt, but more than theory is the matter of practice and changing ourselves to be able to uh, experience, feel, and experience what we understand. So, Ramanuja gives the means, and the means are as such very easy to understand. The first thing he tells is the uh, discernment or discrimination, what gets called in Sanskrit viveka. হুম, আপনারা বুঝতে পারছেন তো? এটা ঠাকুর বলেছেন যে বিবেক বিচার করতে হবে। হ্যাঁ, এই অনেক যখন ওকে লোক প্রশ্ন করেছিলেন যে কেন কি করে ঈশ্বর লাভ হবে, হাউ ক্যান বি রিয়েলাইজ গড, ঈশ্বর লাভ কি করে হবে? হ্যাঁ, এটা কথামৃত গসপেল অফ শ্রী রামকৃষ্ণ, you can read this. How will that God realization come to us? Sri Ramakrishna told, well, discernment. Uh, you have to discern into what is permanent and what is impermanent. And again, let me emphasize, this is a matter of practice. Because we don't do it always. This practice of discernment has to be built in arriving at any conclusion and uh, taking any action. And thus, our actions will be done with that discernment, properly intellectually understanding. That intellectual understanding will have to be put in our uh, actual decision, and then putting that decision in the action. So, as discern, এটা ভাববে, চিন্তা করবে যে পার্মানেন্ট কি আর ইমপারমানেন্ট কি, কি থাকে আর কি জাস্ট আসে আর চলে যায়। যেটা শুধু আসে আর চলে যায় ওটাকে শাস্ত্রে বলা হয় ওটা আভাস। Scriptures tell that what just is seen momentarily and comes and goes, that is illusion. That is illusion. That is not real. এটা বুদ্ধদেব ও এই কথা বলেছেন যে এটা বিচার করে দেখো, just discern and see, discriminate that what is real, what is not real. This must be made a practice. Everything that we perceive, know that it is impermanent. একদিনে এটা হয়তো হবে না, in one day it will not happen, but we have to keep on practicing. There is one nice devotee, here, a wonderful, very brilliant young lady, and I asked her that it is just, can you do it now, say in 24 hours? And she said, no, 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 not in 24 hours. No, she is telling the truth. It may not happen in 24 hours, but we have to practice it as long as it takes. Let us begin where we are. It is আমরা শুরু তো করে দিই, যেটাই আমরা দেখি, চিন্তা করো যে আমরা যখন এটা চিন্তা করি তাহলে দেখা যাবে যে এটা ভগবান নিত্য, God or our true self, that is permanent. The forms like body or the things that we see, এটা যা কিছু দেখা যাচ্ছে ওটা তো আসে আর চলে যায়, ওটা তো থাকে না। It comes and goes. And when we understand it clearly, when we see it clearly, then what happens? By practice, we become perfectly rooted in that. That is why I had somebody had graciously sent me a nice this video, a clip of practice. That practice makes us perfect. So that person was telling that, look, if you get into the practice of getting irritated, anything happens, you get irritated, then it becomes, you did it once, then again you do it, gradually it becomes your practice, And then that clip says so beautifully, and then you become so good at it that you will get always irritated. Do we want it? Nobody will say no. Yes, I want it. I don't want it. So this the practice, whatever you practice, you get perfected in that. So uh, if you become jealous, once you may become jealous, but if you keep on becoming like that, gradually you get perfected in that. It becomes your second nature. Mm. So do we want it? No. Mm. If you get, say, angry, now that becomes your practice. You get perfected in that. Mm. It is, and then that is what happens. You become always angry because you are so good at it. It is therefore by practice of, say, discernment, permanent and impermanent, you will always do it, that you will see that there is the God who is permanent here. God, or as we say in Vedanta, that who is your true self, that reality that pervades everything and yet is not touched by anything. It is uh, তিনি সবাইয়ের ভিতরে রয়েছেন, অথচ আহ, কোনো জিনিসই ওকে বন্ধনে ফেলতে পারে না, কোনো জিনিসই ওর উপর কোনো দাগ রাখতে পারে না। হ্যাঁ, তো যেমন আমি ওটা উদাহরণ দিই অনেকবার, যে মুভি স্ক্রিন, when you see movie, you know that that screen is pervading in all pictures. The pictures change, the screen does not. Moreover, although it is in all pictures, yet the pictures do not affect the screen. Do you get it? হ্যাঁ, এই ধরো এই এই ছবিতে খুব আগুন জ্বলছে, তো তাতে ওই স্ক্রিনে কি স্ক্রিন পুড়ে যায় কি? হ্যাঁ, ওই স্ক্রিনটা পুড়ে যায় না, হ্যাঁ, গরমও হয় না। হ্যাঁ, ওই যদি ওই খুব ওখানে মুভিতে ওয়ার চলছে, হ্যাঁ, অনেক রক্তপাত হচ্ছে, লট অফ bloodshed is happening, কিন্তু but that bloodshed will not leave any mark on the screen, although it is all happening on the screen. So that is discernment. The movie is one thing, the screen is another thing. So this self is like the screen, friends. That is permanent. The pictures, they just come and go, impermanent. And when this wisdom is established in us through practice, by practice you will get established in it. And as you practice, then what will happen? You will see impermanent as impermanent. Otherwise, we take it as permanent and therefore get attached to it. When we see something impermanent, we will not get attached to it. And thus, the life will be, in the right direction. Here, Ramanuja describes this Vivek in terms of ahara, means intake. That is the food intake. Our food intake should be pure food intake, good intake, because whatever we eat, we become that, our body is after all the food processed, you see, whatever we eat. Therefore, I read a nice thing at one, it was a signboard put out, don't eat nuts because you become what you eat. Just a joke, friends, don't take it seriously. So it is, but this conclusion is true, that our eating habits should be taken care of. It is there are no particular rules that apply to everyone that eat this and don't eat this. The point is that you study what you are eating, because of the titillation that you get, the enjoyment of eating that you get, and the purpose of eating is nutrition. So it is, if we are eating for pleasure, I tell myself every time, but I have to practice it, friends. That is the problem. That, oh, this tastes very good. So I eat much more than I should. And then what happens? Hmm, I have a big pumpkin on my stomach, you see. So, and that creates many more health issues. You all know that. So, therefore, eat as much as the body needs. Don't get greedy about it. That is the principle, that what you eat as a matter of need, that is good. And that one eats out of greed, no good. So, other matters are matters of detail. They vary from culture to culture, individual to individual. Some say, no, don't eat meat or fish, eat only certain, they be a vegan, a vegetarian, or whatever, or even in that, don't eat onions and garlic. There is all that. It is good to practice that, but the principle is this: you can be a pure vegetarian, vegan, and yet if you do not keep control, you may eat more than needed. It will be all perfectly vegan food, but that will not be helpful. It will still, you will bulge. It is the one of my friends, a nice devotee here. He told a nice formula: you indulge and you bulge. Mm. So it is. So that is, এটা করতে হবে যে খাবে, কিন্তু প্রয়োজন মতন খাবে। শুধু হ্যাঁ আমার এটা খেতে ভালো লাগে আর অনেক খেয়ে নিলাম, ওরকম খেলে এটা আহ, উচিত নেই। এটাতে আমাদের ভক্তি আর প্রভুর গ্রেস, ওর কৃপা আমরা সামলাতে পারবো না, রাখতে পারবো না। তো এটাতে আমাদের এটা শক্ত হয়ে যায়। We become strong by these practices. The second thing that is mentioned there is, আর এখানে একটা জিনিস বলা প্রয়োজন আছে. One more thing needs to be told here, and that is, the food does not mean here only the food that is taken through this mouth. Our eyes are, say, eating the forms, the colors, and all that. Shankaracharya interprets this as ahara, means whatever intake you do by your sense organs, like seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, tasting, all that needs to be put under control. Take the pure visual inputs. ওই দেখবে যেটা শুদ্ধ আছে, যেটা দেখলে আমাদের মনে সন্তোষ হবে, শান্তি হবে। ওটা দেখতে গেলে কি, যে এটা দেখলে আমাদের মন আরো উদ্বেলিত হয়ে যায়, উত্তেজিত হয়ে যায়, তো ওটাতে আমাদের শক্তি চলে যায়। তো ওই শুনবে, ওই দেখবে। অনেকেই বলেছে, these days so many people told, we are seeing all these news of all horrible things happening. So how can the mind be quiet? Well, if seeing those things and hearing those things make our mind disturbed, then, well, don't see it. Is it necessary to see it? Just think about it. It is, it isn't it my responsibility to keep my mind peaceful? So I should not take that which makes it uh, disturbed, and that which makes it go haywire. So that is my responsibility. So through all my sense organs, I am eating. Mm. And so eat only that by which I become peaceful, I get more wisdom, more understanding. So that is also the meaning of ahara, intake. The second thing was told here, that the controlling the passions, that although we know that this is not right, we understood through discernment that it is impermanent and this is permanent. And yet, I see that my mind rushes towards that which is impermanent, although I know that it is impermanent. Hmm. Does it happen? Yeah, it happens often. Is there a way? Yes, again, the same thing practice. Hmm. Don't let the mind run towards that. The other day I was walking, myself and some other friends, and there was a dog coming with the owner of the dog from the other side, and seeing us approaching, the owner immediately tightened the leash. Because otherwise the dog would like to, smell and do some other things. And in these days of coronavirus, the owners of the dog was not wearing a face mask. So it is, they are careful. So what he did, he pulled the leash. And we have to do the same thing with our mind. It sees a beautiful form, so it gets pulled there. But as it gets pulled there, mm, mm, hold the leash and bring it back. Again, this is matter of practice. There is a very nice, a delicious food in front of me, and so I try to gobble it. Uh, Yeah, know that it is impermanent and it is not good, but that understanding just remains here. But I have to therefore control that no, don't go there. Put some rules and regulations in life for that. These rules and regulations are very helpful. A spiritual life becomes just an imaginary thing unless we put proper discipline in it. Without discipline, friends, no spiritual life. Let us remember this. What is this discipline? Let me give you an example. You may have the discernment. For 5 minutes, you will be having the discernment, and then the discernment will go away. The other things will take over, and then uh, the permanent will appear impermanent, uh, and impermanent will appear to be permanent. So what to do? So at that time, this discipline will save you. Mm. I remember that is a very common example, but I like it so much. Let me tell it to you that, say, it has so happened once that we were pushing a vehicle, that is, it was not starting, and so we had to push it on a slope going up, it is. So it was not very heavy, but still we three, four people were. Mm, 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 mm. Now, after a few minutes of pushing, it went ahead a few feet, but then our strength depleted by that time, and we did. And then the vehicle again came back. We began from square one again. But one amongst us was intelligent. Again, when we pushed, again it went a few feet, and we were again losing the strength. But before it could slide back, a friend of us put a big stone there under the wheel. So now what happened? A great thing in spiritual life, friends. Now that stone, it is not pushing the vehicle ahead, but it was preventing it from sliding back. Hmm. Then what we did, we again waited a few minutes to catch up the breath, to regain our strength. And after 2 minutes of break, we again, but now we don't have to start from square one. And we pushed it from where it was, and kept on repeating it till we took the vehicle to the desired point. Mm. So this is a technique that we have to apply. Okay, I pushed it uh, today to this extent, but let it not slide down. Mm. I may not be able to keep on pushing it, but I will not let it slide down. This is called the discipline and the control. And this also comes by practice, friends. It may not come like that nice lady told me, not in 24 hours. If it comes in 24 hours, not that we will not take it, but it may not come in 24 hours. It may not come in 24 days or even say 24 lifetimes. But let us begin it. Hmm. Who knows? It may come next half an hour. Why should we not consider that possibility? It may come in half an hour too. So, it is that is the second thing, controlling the passions. The third thing, very important third thing, is practice. That what it means here is that practice is they whatever the guru has told, that keep on doing it, and the meditation, the mantra repetition, or any such special practice that has been given to you by the Guru, and do it. It may not be satisfactorily done immediately, but again, matter of practice. Mm. We will get perfected. Even a little by little, it accumulates. I remember in when I was in college, we were in our physics class. We were told about the van der Waal mill of generating huge voltage. Big voltage of say 100,000 volts. So how to make it? uh, there is a mill. The belt keeps on rotating. And did you study it, Juhi? Huh? Wonderwall mill? Oh, well, that is something it is worth studying. It is uh, every time the belt rotates, it takes a charge. Small charge is taken. Gradually, the voltage, I'm not going to give you any technical details, but what I mean is a small, tiny charge gets deposited on it every time it moves, completes one cycle, so much charge, so much charge. And gradually you see a huge, like 5,000 or 100,000 volts of potential difference voltage is generated there. So it is matter of practice. Do it little by little. It doesn't matter. One Swami who had come here, he told, look, when you see that Grand Canyon, many of you must have seen, it is a huge canyon valley. But how it started, they say the history that there is the Columbia River that is flowing. Mm. And that river, it started hitting that big mountain, a huge mountain. Now it started hitting it in 1 second, and nothing happened to the mountain, but 1,000 years this was happening. 5,000 years it was happening, and you have now that big, huge canyon. Mm. So, our mind, when we put it to this practice, continue. The life is actually infinite. Never think, but if I die, it will start in the next life, doesn't matter. Uh, and continue with that determination that I have to do it. And you will see that if you do it methodically, continue gradually, you will do the practice more and more. It is like that. So, this is the third discipline. Then you should do the fourth discipline he mentions is that the work has to be done. You have to do unselfish work. Unselfish work, doing that, he mentions sacrificial work. But the sacrificial work here means that do unselfish work. We have to, that uh, indebted, that Hindu philosophy tells you about the Pancha Yajna, the five sacrifices. আমাদের সবাইকে এইগুলো করতে হয়, কারণ আমরা এই সংসারে কতজনের ঋণী আছি, and we are indebted to so many things here, and this is just acknowledging that debt. Like the sun is giving us light, power, and all that, uh, without sending us any bill. It is, yeah. So, shall we not be indebted to that? Mm. In general, if you see, I'm not going in details, we don't have that much time, but we are indebted to our parents. So, shall we not acknowledge, at least they don't expect anything from us, but we have to acknowledge that yes, this is a practice. The society, we are not an island to ourselves. So many things in society, every single being is helping us. All human beings, you see, in this COVID, I admire all these people, they, in spite of putting their own lives at risk, these health caregivers, those who run the grocery stores, those who bring mail or other these shippings, all these things, those who work in the transportation industry, all that, they work. And it is dependent on me, dependent on them, that this life can go on. Shall we not acknowledge that debt? Mm. It is important that we feel that debt. It is, see, without internet, In these days, we are not physically going anywhere, but these internet providers, they are making us go everywhere in a way. What a great idea! What a great thing! So, therefore, this is something very important to feel indebtedness, and therefore, feeling that let us take up our share in serving others. Wherever there is an opportunity, we serve others without expecting anything. And this is a practice of building character and building strength, building self confidence. It is, and thus we build strength. Then, fourth thing he mentions is purity. Purity means here purity of intent. Uh, Let us not harbor bad intent, means injuring somebody, hurting somebody, having those bad feelings about somebody. And no, have very pure intent. And the pure intent, if strong, gets converted into pure action too. So, pure intent, pure action. So, that is very important to practice it. It is in prayers. I in Hindu religion আমরা প্রার্থনা করি সব সময়. We pray that আমাদের মধ্যে যাতে কোনো কারোর প্রতি বিদ্বেষ না থাকুক, সবাই যেন শান্তি পায় জীবনে, সর্বেত্র সুখিনঃ সন্তু সর্বে সন্তু নিরাময়া সর্বে ভদ্রাণি পশ্যন্তু মা কশ্চিৎ দুঃখম আপনুয়াত. That let nobody be subjected to pains and sufferings. May everybody be happy. May everybody be healthy. May everyone attain to their goals in life. Pray for them. And I don't have any enmity in our intention and action. So this is called purity. And then uh, the strength of character, strength of resolve. And we become, depressed and weak very quickly. We make resolve, but our resolve doesn't withstand the our the onslaught of emotions and weakness. So we have to practice, make strong resolves. They let our resolves be strong. I was telling a friend, a fairly old man, and then he has been suffering. One reason for suffering is that he smokes a lot, smokes. So I told him, yeah, give up smoking. And he said, well, I give up 3 times every day. So that is what happens, that resolve doesn't uh, stay. It is quickly blown away. Pooh, gone. Uh, so that kind of resolve is not going to help us hold on to the grace. Even if it is given, it will just uh, go down, get wasted, because we don't have the strength to hold on to it. So it is important that increase the strength of resolve through practice. Again, it requires practice. It may not come in one day, and not 24 hours or 48 hours, but a little of it will come in 24 hours. A little will get added to it in another 24 hours. Practice. Practice this strengthening of resolve. And it again, in Swami Vivekananda's Karma Yoga, it mentions that in the very first chapter, that how these great uh, people in the world, the role models that we see, like Buddha, uh, Krishna, Jesus, Shankaracharya, Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, how they got this strength of character, strength of resolve by working on it. Uh, they kept on getting more and more of it. Work, that is important. Do work. Uh, Work increases the self confidence. It is. Uh, I had told a story earlier also, a very illuminating story, friends. And that is, look, yeah, one man, a contractor, it is a real incident that there were a tank has to be built, water tank on the, and there was one pillar on which it has to stand because by the regulations of the city, only one pillar space was there, only for one pillar. So it was going to be a tank standing on just one pillar. So the design was kind of mm, scary looking. It may fall. But the engineer had made a very good structural design for that. Now, actually, let me tell you, it is now more than 45 years, or about 45 years, uh, that the tank is still standing on that one pillar, a concrete tank. So, what I mean is that the design by the engineer was right, but the contractors were scared. If it falls, if it falls on somebody's head, look what they are will be liable to pay $1 million or whatever, you know. So no, no, I don't. I am not going to do it. So that engineer finally, he knew very closely one contractor. So he said, I tell you, it is the drawing is correct. You can examine the drawing. And then he said, secondly, this is happening in this Ramakrishna Mutt, in Sri Ramakrishna's organization. The tank is going to be held by Sri Ramakrishna. It will not fall. And when you do the work, it will be another feather in your cap. You will get the glory. Why are you missing this glory? Do the work. And then that man did it. What happened now? The tank got built. But now this man became confident. Yes, I can do it. This is how you build self confidence through work. A very important thing. Otherwise, the first reaction is, I can't do it. One gentleman, our very close and wonderful devotee, when I tell him, he just first reaction is, no, I cannot do that. No, no, I don't think I will be able to do that. It is too difficult. I have never done it. If you refuse to do something because you have never done it, then you will not be able to even walk, because before starting to walk you had never done it before. So if you go by that rule, you will never be able to improve. So start, work on it. That will, I can tell you from my experience, friends, that one can get lot of self-confidence and the strength of resolve by doing the work. Do it, you will get it. That is the strength. And the last thing that he mentions here is, this is again matter of practice, that do not get too elated or uh, throw yourself into excessive joy by just achieving a little progress. Hey, today I was able to meditate for 22 full minutes. And if you become so joyous that all that joy will drown your meditation capacity, don't get okay. It was I am satisfied, I have got some progress done, but I have to do more. Hmm. It is, don't get too elated. This exuberance of happiness is not right because of some circumstances. It is different, that exuberance of joy because of God realization, reaching the ultimate goal of life. That's fine, but not otherwise. They One should avoid uh, getting terribly joyous, because any emotional imbalance is not good, either due to joy or due to sorrow. Either way, the imbalance, the life is thrown out of balance because of this. So one must be very, very careful. Now, what happens when we practice these are given by the great teacher like Ramanujacharya. And when we practice this, what happens? And these are quoted by whom? A great teacher like Swami Vivekananda. Mm. Swami Vivekananda gives these in Bhakti Yoga. So, uh, when we do this, the grace that is always there. Uh, Thakur Sri Ramakrishna said that God wants to see us. Ah, it is God is knocking on our door. But we say, no, I will not open the door for God because I am afraid of God. And no, we become strong, and then we are ready to meet God through all these practices. The grace is there. It is because God is ready with abundance of grace. As Sri Ramakrishna's that example, keep on bringing it to your mind again and again, that the breeze of grace is blowing all the time. And this will make us, you know, raise unfurl our sails, and uh, also the sails we will make strong sail, otherwise the fabric will just break. It will get torn in no time. So these practices are required, because the breeze of grace could be very powerful. If we are not ready to with the powerful, strong sails unfurled, even if we unfurl those weak sails, the breeze will just blow it away. And so, therefore, these are the necessary things. The topic given to me was, therefore, I spoke about grace earlier. So this was an important topic, how, to receive the grace in our householder's life. It actually does not make much of a difference whether you are a monastic or householder. These disciplines can be and should be, rather must be, followed by all of us, and thus we will become stronger. We will have then the capability to have the grace. Otherwise, the grace is poured. One man went, a stupid fellow, he wanted to get something that is pretty heavy, and had taken a bag to carry it, ordinary flimsy paper bag. And the shop fellow said, "You can't take it in this." If I put it there, the bag will just give way. এটা এর মধ্যে ধরা যাবে না ভাই, তাহলে কি করব? না, আর একটা ভালো শক্ত ব্যাগ নিয়ে আসুন মশাই। হুম, get a strong fabric bag which will be able to carry it. Hmm. I will not put it in this bag. So Lord, out of compassion for us, says that I will not put it in your mind because it is strong enough. Do these practices, and then you will, I guarantee you, friends, I am not just giving my guarantee. This is the guarantee given by sages. I am just forwarding it to you that the life will change. The life will be full of the divine grace coming into one's life. And friends, let us pray to Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Swami Vivekananda, to inspire us to practice this. But we have to do the practice. They can give us inspiration, but we have to do the practice. ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। यथाग्निर्दाहिका शक्ति रामकृष्णे स्थिता हि या सर्वविद्यास्वरूपां तां शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम्। परतत्त्वे सदा लीनो रामकृष्णसमाज्ञया यो धर्मस्थापनरतो वीरेशं तं नमाम्यहम्। Salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, and therefore the teacher of all religions for this age, incarnated as God. They and salutations to Holy Mother, who is inseparable from Sri Ramakrishna as the power inseparable from the fire, the burning power. And salutations to Vivekananda, who, although is always merged with the divine, and yet is doing so much work for the good of people like us. Hari Om Tat Sat. Now, let us take up the question. There is Juhi here, and then she will read out the questions. Usually Shrikant does that, but then he is away right now. So please, Juhi, do you see any questions there? There are no questions or comments there? Okay. So is there any question? Do you have any question, any of you? Because Juhi says that there are comments, but there are no questions. It is very good. So since you don't have question, we will conclude this discussion here, and then we will meet maybe again next month for this particular group. So very good. My salutations to God in you all. Jai Shri Ramakrishna. Jai Ma. Oh, one question is there. Oh, somebody, she is telling that there is one question. So please bear with me for a few more minutes. How, Jyoti Champanerkar, how to be encouraged after failure? Is that the question? Yeah, it is exactly the same thing that I was telling, that failure gives us some education. It is, failure does come, But it is important to use the failure as a learning instrument. Failures teach. Actually, success does not teach much. Failures teach. I saw a very nice video. One man was shown, carrying the load of failures on the head. "Oh, I failed in this. I failed in this. I failed in this. Oh, uh, tons of failures. Another man, what he did was, he took those failures and arranged them like a steps, staircase, and then uh, climbed on those to the pinnacle of success. So that is why when the failure comes, do not get disheartened. Take it up as an opportunity to improve yourself, a lesson imparted. Ah, it is what that uh, thing was in the Rajo class. Swamiji was telling. We have this idiom in our language that if you make a mistake and therefore incurred a loss, don't rue upon it. Say that this has been spent for education. Ah, so it is like that. So thank you, Jyoti. Use it like that. Failures have to be used properly. Thank you for your nice question. And now, Jyoti, you have inspired, you have lit the Jyoti of questions in others as well. So please read other questions.
Swamiji, would you please tell us about Kripa Siddha?
Kripa Siddha, very good question, Kripa Siddha. So, Kripa Siddha means the one who becomes perfected by grace. Everybody who becomes Siddha is actually Kripa Siddha. Ah, grace is absolutely necessary because as Vedanta or any other scriptures, including Bible or other scriptures of any religion you take, the point is that as human beings, our capabilities are drastically limited. Mm. We should make an effort only so that we will be able to receive the grace. But the enlightenment, the siddhi, comes through kripa. So everybody who is a siddha is actually kripa siddha. And everybody gets kripa, not only some get. Everybody gets kripa, but somebody is capable of holding on to it. Others just it grace falls through the cracks. So that is the difference, friends. Yes, any other question?
Yes, Charlie asks, does everyone have the same capacity to make an effort in spiritual practice?
Well, has everybody the same capacity? No. Ah. Look at the efforts Sri Ramakrishna was putting and contrasted by the efforts this Yogatmananda puts. No, it is, the where is, ground and the sky, that much difference, heaven and the earth difference. But I will do according to my practice, I will build my practice. And what will happen thereby? My capabilities will increase. It is matter of practice, Charlie. Your our capacity may be of the nano size, but if we keep on developing it, practice in our own way, mm, it is. Let us instead of going with in a supersonic flight, we may go with baby steps. Doesn't matter. Gradually, we will acquire a supersonic, you know. So this is how it will happen. Don't give up. Don't get disheartened. Uh, do it. Do not bring up excuses for not doing it. Hmm. It is that is most important. The mind gets into the habit, as I was telling, habit, and you become so perfect in that, in bringing out excuses why I cannot do it. I instead uh, put that energy that you energy and time that is wasted in generating excuses, you put it in actual practice. That will be the positive use of it, friend. Mm. Any other question? I saw something long question there.
Yes, from Rishita.
Huh?
From Rishita.
Rishita, hey Rishita, কেমন আছো? পড়ো।
If a person has all the time in the day and you did everything except your spiritual practices, but you don't do them, what is that type of person called?
Oh, well, what do you mean? That it is uh, that all the time is there, but if it is wasted, then that person will not get grace because it doesn't have the capability to hold it. And so, do whatever is told by the Guru. Try to make every second that is available, uh, make good use of it. Every moment is given to us by the God as a grace. Mm. So we have so many moments, but every moment is counted. So God gives us every moment to make good use of it. If you have not made good use of it, then God says, why should I give so much time? And that this fellow is not making good use of it. So learn to make good use of whatever time one gets. And you are an intelligent girl. তুমি তো খুব ভালো মেয়ে, তুমি নিশ্চয়ই এটা করতে পারবে, বুঝলে? You will certainly be able to do it. Any other question?
Yes, from Abhijit C. Can remembering and being grateful for the grace and blessings we have already received make us capable of receiving more grace?
Oh, yes. Be grateful for it, but do not be saying, I am grateful and enough. No. Practice more and more so that more and more can be given to it. Gave the example of a bag. I am giving now example of another bag. I used to have those bags. They are stretchable bags. So you could take those things in a small pocket. In your shirt pocket, you can put it. And then as you put things in it, it keeps on expanding. So you can put lot of things in it. So that is how you received something, but then let the bag expand to receive more till the goal is reached. Remember always that statement, let us not stop till the goal is reached. Yeah, thank you, Abhijit. Any other question?
Yes, one more question from Malati Biswas.
Ah,
Pranam Guruji, when habit is stronger than resolve, how to make resolve stronger?
okay, well, let making that resolve stronger be a practice. Ah, let that become a practice. Uh, the wrong practices can be overcome by right practices. The right practices are to be put in so that they will help to eliminate the wrong practices. This is what is to be done. It is, my guru gave a nice example, that there is, you buy from hardware store a roll of that some metal, a metal sheet, and then to save the space and ease of transportation, those metal sheets are sold in roll. তো ওরকম একটি রোল আমরা কিনে নিয়ে এলাম, and we bought one, but it had to be, uh, nailed to the door, and to make the door last longer. So that has to be nailed onto the wooden door. But the problem was, that when you uh, just unroll it, by the time you just keep it again would roll back. So one friend told, what is to be done, now reverse roll it. Do you see? Roll it reverse, opposite practice. Opposite practice. That uh, Pratipaksha Bhavanam, that Patanjali says about this, Vitarka Badhane Pratipaksha Bhavanam. When these wrong, non spiritual habits that oppose our resolve, they are there, put the right habits, uh, reverse. So what we did was reverse that role, put it under weight for some time, and then it opened flat. Hmm? Got it, Malati? বুঝেছো তো? হ্যাঁ, খুব ভালো, huh? Very good. Any other question? So Malati, you had the last question, the last word. And let us have all a last smile of gratitude to Lord for uh, thinking of these nice ennobling thoughts this evening. Pranams to you all again. Jai Thakur, Jai Maha, Jai Swami.